Hi everyone, you're listening to Screaming on the Inside. My name is Natalie and I will be your host today, and I'm joined here with Jane, who is working with VIA and has some exciting news about a new project that they are starting. So Jane, if you wanted to introduce yourself.
Yes, hello Natalie. Thank you for inviting us on to talk about our project. So my name's Jane Simons and I'm Clinical Director for Service Delivery with VIA.
Lovely. Okay, and so my job role is working for UK Addiction Treatment and I'm the statutory admissions referrer. So currently we have a good relationship with VIA. We are currently supporting your clients into our detox and rehab centres. So this is really nice that we can work together to be able to bring this on.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So do you want to explain a little bit about the new project then and about ELMS?
Yeah, so the ELMS is a really exciting project. It's going to be the first UK women's detox unit. So it's set in the sort of Gloucestershire, Worcestershire borders, beautiful countryside. It's going to be a 16-bedded unit that supports women in a safe environment to have drug and alcohol treatment. And that might vary for a lot of women. So there may be stabilisation through to detox. Yeah.
Oh, really good, really good. And have you seen sort of a need for this then for women?
Yeah, I think definitely we have. So, we know that drug and alcohol related deaths are rising for women, and over the last decade that's increased, significantly, and there's been concerns. And I think the path is really challenging for everybody coming into drug and alcohol treatment, but for women especially, there's some real specific need. Our chief exec is part of the Collective Voice Women's Group, and there was lots of discussions going on and still are a couple of years ago around this kind of topic. So we thought we'd kind of just see what we could do, and we ended up purchasing this building in Gloucestershire, which we're developing into this detox unit.
Oh, brilliant. And what sort of facilities are they able to expect from the building, and the treatment?
So the building itself, like I said, we've bought the building and we're investing in a complete refurbishment of it. So there will be 16 beds. We at the kind of front end of the building is more of the clinical area, but a lot of the kind of focus groups and feedback that we've had from women is they want it to feel comfortable and not too clinical. So we're really mindful of that. So there will be clinical areas. So there will be medication. Obviously, this is a detox unit. It's not rehab. So women will be there to be in a safe environment for us to be able to try and keep them feeling as well as they can while they're going through this, but also to have some facilities around them so that they can perhaps learn some new skills, have relaxation. We've talked to women about having things like massage, yoga. Women have talked about wanting lots of things like puzzles and activities to do. And there will be, so I've started to work with our psychology team around what a typical day would look like when you're at the ELMS. We've got really lovely grounds around us. So we've got a beautiful garden. Part of the kind of therapy area, the indoor therapy area, opens out onto this lovely space. So we've been looking at how we can kind of bring the outside in and the inside out. So we know for a lot of people that kind of nature's really important, and just being able to be in nature. And a lot of the women have said about being able to be in a garden, grow things, birds, the kind of environment being really important. So, hopefully our aim is that this is holistic. So we're really trying to listen to women as to what they need and what they feel they want, or what they've had in the past that really hasn't worked for them, and what those changes would be if in an ideal world.
Oh, it sounds really amazing. So there's a lot of focus on wellness as well, by the sounds of it, your holistic approach. And I think you're absolutely right. Women particular, thrive on that, and that would really benefit for their recovery long term.
Yeah, I think, the focus groups we did, women talked about, I guess the medication hopefully keeps people well, but it's all of the other stuff that comes up, isn't it? It's those feelings and emotions, and, it's different for everybody, but there might be guilt, there might be trauma that arises. So it's kind of, they talked very much about having people with lived experience in the environment with them, people that really understood what they'd gone through, having staff that were well trained and equipped to kind of manage those emotions and just sit with people and be with them, to support them through what I'm sure is, it is a tricky time. Yeah,
definitely. And it's having that secure safety environment to not feel judged and be able to open up. And, a lot of women who are going through detox, they've been potentially through some trauma, domestic abuse and things like that. So having that secure, safe environment, I think is really important. And then, as you were saying, sort of the well-being side of things, yoga and things like that. Some women at the minute may not have the chance to do that. So it could be a newfound hobby, and it's giving them something else to focus on and looking after themselves. So it's really good.
Yeah, I think that bit's really important, isn't it? It's listening to what women need. And we're all very different, aren't we? We all need different things. We all enjoy different things, and we all struggle with different things. So I think, it's a bit of a toolkit, isn't it? It's also trying to start that new toolkit. If I'm feeling this way, is there something else that I can perhaps do to soothe or to, help myself feel better and get through the next 10 minutes or the next hour or day that's coming up in front of me?
Yeah. And do you feel that, women in particular, they feel like they need to wait longer for treatment at the minute, or if they kind of fall through the cracks, if you like? Because I don't know about you, but I see a lot more of the male side coming into treatment, whereas I feel that they're, for women, if you're a mother, if you're working, it can be really difficult. We have this sort of pressure on us, don't we, to hold everything together. So do you sort of feel like currently there's a lack of gender support for women?
I think there is, and over the years, so I think from my personal kind of professional experience, we are seeing more women coming into treatment, which is good, but I do think there's real barriers. So I think there's a lot more stigma around women, and certainly when women come through the door, if they're a mum, there's fears that we're going to judge them, we're going to take their children off them, things like that. And I think, I'm sure all substance use services, but definitely at Vi, there's that non-judgmental, caring, being human, doing the right thing, and having those kind of conversations. We also see women that are, they're caregivers. So we are more caregivers. I'm a caregiver myself, as well as having a job, and it brings with it all those kind of responsibilities. And I think certainly, so some of the focus groups we've done, women talked about having to wait a really long time for an inpatient opportunity. And sometimes it wasn't even an option that was discussed with them. It was kind of, you detox at home, but there was never this opportunity to go somewhere safe and kind of be held and looked after while you're going through this bit of treatment. Or, there's big gaps. So waiting for, you might have a detox, but then there's a really long wait till you can get into rehab. And that's a really challenging time, isn't it? That period of perhaps a 2-week detox. And then having to wait one woman we spoke to had waited 3 months to then go into rehab. And all strength to her, she'd done it, she'd maintained her sobriety from alcohol at that time. But some real challenges for her.
Yeah, like you say, it's difficult, isn't it, when some people go through the detox and then are expected to go home and hold that on their own without having that support there. So being able to then come into yourselves or having that extra support would be great. So what do you feel sort of happens to women who currently aren't getting the right support?
Oh, I think, there's a real range of things that happen. For some women, they might just go off and do it themselves. I'll just look after and manage myself, or they might be fortunate and have family or friends around them, support them, through to, some of the women I've seen are street homeless. There's sexual exploitation, there's worsening of domestic abuse, children removed. We see women where 5, 6 children have been removed from them, and that's just not acceptable. And then they come through the door and we ask them a question about, do you have children? Yeah, they're a mum, and these children have gone. So it just kind of exacerbates all of the negative things that have happened to people. So I think, it's a kind of, there's a continuum, isn't there? Some people manage to sort out through to people ending in some really complex and potentially dangerous situations for themselves. And as we're seeing with the death rates, for some women, they die. So there was, again, some of the women that we've spoken to have talked about having friends, having peers that have died. And they said they felt that if kind of there was more opportunity to access these kinds of units and inpatient detox and support, that perhaps wouldn't have happened. So there was a real buzz of excitement around this. Is such a positive step to have a safe women-only space, which for some women is what they need. Not everybody, but for some they need to be in that gender-specific space. So it's really important.
Yeah. And so why do you feel, you just mentioned gender-specific, so do you feel that there's a lot of women who are currently going through addiction, which is also in relation to domestic violence? I don't know about you, but I almost feel that women particularly almost have to get to that rock bottom place before asking and reaching out for help.
Yeah, I think there's something about the whole life course for women, isn't it? And women we have different health experiences. So we go through all sorts of hormonal changes and all of that, those kind of experiences as we're maturing and growing and developing into young women, which bring with it its own challenges. And I think, it can feel difficult to sit in a mixed group and have those kinds of discussions. So I think to be able to sit with a group of people who have similar experiences or even the same experiences is a really powerful kind of part of recovery, and really important for all of us, isn't it? Just to be able to connect with people who perhaps had similar experiences. And we know that sometimes, our services can be busy and they can feel, I don't know, loud, and and there's lots of men and it's really full, and if you're
not really person centered.
No. So I think if you're coming into a space, and we have spoken to women who felt that some of the group spaces where there's men there may be a kind of a predatory element to it, so their safety is threatened there. We've spoken to women that when they exit buildings, they've perhaps been approached for sex work or for sex, and you're there for an hour to try and have some kind of therapeutic input into your recovery, and actually what's happening is perhaps some of the thoughts and experiences are just being reinforced, which I think must be a real challenge for people. So to have those safe spaces where they're needed, I think is really important. For some, that kind of gender mix, it works. So it is that holistic, patient-centered, person-centered approach that I think we need to follow.
Oh, sounds brilliant. And so what will make the ELMS different from sort of current existing services?
So like I said, it's the first female-only inpatient detox. So it will be staffed by women, run by women as much as we can. So we have to recognise that, I think if we're looking at consultant psychiatrist level and things like that, sometimes it can be a challenge to find gender people to come into those roles. So, but there will be chaperone opportunities. So we will be psychologically informed, and we talk about trauma within that, but not everybody that accesses our services has been traumatized. And I think we don't kind of, again, being person-centered, let's not clump everybody together. So it will be psychologically informed. So the environment, we're taking feedback from women around what they want, like I said, in the environment, so that it kind of feels like a safe, nurturing environment. The staff group will be women, as I said, as far as we possibly can. And I think what's important, we're working with our psychology team to kind of have that trauma-informed approach, which sometimes can have lip service, but it really is about the whole environment. And for me, it's about how staff interact with each other. It's about how staff interact with women. It's about us being curious about what that experience has been and giving people the opportunity to just kind of do what they need to do on a day-to-day basis. So we will have, we've kind of put together, I can talk you through it if you like, though, we've kind of put together a bit of a consideration for what a day at the ELMS might look like.
That would be great.
So I'm just going to bring it up because it's a while since we wrote this. These things take much longer than you hope they will with kind of buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a rough day at the ELMS. I think one of the things women said to us as well is, please don't enforce bedtimes. This is a really challenging time. And if we're not feeling well, we don't want to be told to go to bed at 10 o'clock and the door's shut. And you might then be in a bedroom feeling really isolated and lonely. So we're trying not to be too rigid, but equally women said to us, we need to be busy. We need there to be boundaries. So women were saying, things like the phone, people will hide behind a phone. So kind of have set times when the phone's there, because it's really important. We saw women that were early post-detox and women that were later post-detox. And the later post-detox, they all said to us, we could have hidden behind phones, we could have hidden and locked ourselves in our rooms. But what was important actually was that connection with other people and that kind of learning and growth from each other. So we took that on board, because the early piece post-detox, let us be in our rooms, let us have a phone. So it was really quite an interesting, contrast. And obviously we'll meet women where they're at. But we'll have breakfast, start the day. There'll be a circle. So it'll be talking. I think another thing that women talked about was some of their experiences had been that they didn't know what to expect. So firstly, before they went into the unit, they had no idea what the detox was going to be like. They hadn't seen pictures of it. They didn't know what people looked like. So I think to backtrack and start there is really important, that we hopefully can put out videos so that you can see the environment you're going into, so that it can feel familiar. I'll perhaps say hello, or whoever the staff members are that are working there, so that you've got a face and you're like, okay, I know I can visualize what I'm going into, along with that kind of
it's nice to have that preparation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know just across all of our our facilities. It's nice to have a visual, it's nice to hear a familiar voice. I'm sure you'll be completing assessments and things prior to them coming. So it's having that, familiar feel, isn't it, to make them comfortable. And also I think that then that the more prepared they are, I don't know about you, but it's more successful for their recovery because they feel welcomed and they feel prepared.
Yeah, and that kind of knowing what to bring with you, and if you haven't got anything, what will be there? So for some women that come into our services, they don't have anything. So it's things like, it's just thinking what might be the basic needs when you come in. So that, a day, obviously there's going to be meals. People talked very much when we've spoken in the focus groups around choice of food and healthy food and things like that, but also having like a toaster on hand because there's a real, we want to make toast because we're craving carbs and things like that. So it's those kind of little things, isn't it, that can make a difference to you feeling like you can stay and go through this, or actually I need to go because these little things are building up and are a real challenge. So there will be workshops. We're going to do journaling stuff for women who are able to write, or we'll support them in other ways. So something else women talked about is having a journal or somewhere where they could write things that the worker that they're attached to at the unit would read through the night. So sometimes women don't want to say things, but they want to enable people to understand what they're feeling. So that felt really important, and that was a theme that came through quite a lot actually. So there'll be, the kind of house circles so that we can talk about what the day is going to be like, and then debriefing at the end of the day, kind of, talk about any of the challenges that have been there and celebrate the good stuff. And then there will be some lower level workshops. So I think another thing that women said in detox is we can't get into that real kind of into the heavier work as they described it. That needs to be rehab. In the early days, it needs to be gentler stuff about, sleep and just those kind of day-to-day things and how people manage emotions and stuff on a day-to-day basis. And then, the kind of activities that we talked about. So everything from yoga, mindfulness through to puzzles and art and all sorts of other things. So I guess that's the kind of the day that we're thinking about. And then we have got this allotment space, which we're really excited about in the garden and stuff, which, feels really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So sort of once they've completed treatment, do you guys have any connections? Are you able to support them with a secure, safe move on place? Is that something that the ELMS would be able to support clients with?
So I think that will be part of the pre-admission will be coming into us and then making sure that that's very much linked up with what's going to happen next. So we've got a detox unit called Passmores, and we've got a detox rehab there. And I know that I've been talking to them about the kind of importance of making sure that this all links up. So whether the detox happening there and then they go on to a different rehab or they stay there for rehab. So like we said at the beginning, it's unacceptable to have that 3-month gap. So pre-admission, we need to be really clear what are the next steps after. So locally in Gloucestershire, we've got some really good connections with Nelson Trust. And obviously there's something about choice, isn't there? So women may choose to come to us for a detox, but then they may have some wishes about where they move on after. But I think that's a really important kind of part of the system, if you like, is that we communicate strongly with the referrer and make sure that this is all joined up to give people the best possible opportunity, I guess, for success. Yeah,
definitely. And I just wanted to touch, I know earlier on we mentioned being a mother and children being involved. What sort of support if somebody, for example, comes in and they have got children, are they able to access visits, or how does that stand?
That's an interesting one, isn't it? This is, I really wish there was something really joined up where women's children could be cared for, because I think that's one of the biggest barriers, isn't it? I know I worked with a woman some time ago, really early in my career. She had 3 children. Really complex situation, and finally came to me and said, I've got to go to inpatient detox, but there's nobody to have my children. And working really close with services, nobody would pick it up. So it actually ended up being a neighbour with some support mechanisms. So anyway, I think in terms of the children, again, Nelson Trust have got some they've got a room which we could use for visits. Again, I would, we're going to get more, we'll have more contact with women to get some feedback around what they're saying. But the women who talked about visits from family in detox did suggest that they felt that it would perhaps be too triggering, and perhaps that was a time where they are on their own and they're self-caring.
Yeah.
And they said that what would be really important is that FaceTime contact, if that was what was needed. So I think that's an individual thing, isn't it? So if a visit's really needed for one person, then I think we need to look at how we facilitate that. But equally, I do think there's something about taking that time, depending how long you are there.
I completely agree. It's an independent decision, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I also currently, if I'm, assessing a client, I like to say to them, take this time for you. Look how hard you've been working.
Yeah.
You've been there for your kids. Just take this time to look after yourself, because sometimes that's what women need.
Yeah, exactly.
As well. Definitely.
And we carry a lot of guilt, don't we? And it's okay.
Mum guilt
Get back.
is the worst. Yeah, being a mum myself, yes, I completely sympathise with the mum guilt. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it all sounds very very exciting. So do you have any sort of dates or anything in mind which are available, like, for the project to be finishing? Is there more funds that need to be raised? What's the whole current situation?
Okay, so where we're at, we've purchased the building, like I said, and we have funds to renovate the building. What we really want to do is add those lovely touches that make it feel like a really safe, calm, beautiful place to be, where people will. I really want people to walk in and feel valued and feel like, oh, actually, I can just concentrate on me now. Yeah. So we are going to be doing some more fundraising. This has taken a bit longer than we thought, because I don't know if anybody's ever done building at home, but it always takes 10 times longer than you think. So on a project this big, it's longer. So yes, we are fundraising. We're just about to start a fundraising campaign. I'm just looking for my details. I'm really sorry. So yeah, we're crowdfunding. So we're going to be launching something in December the 1st, I think. So yeah, basically we're fundraising, to make this kind of real, and every donation is going to be really important. So things like we're gathering the information of the things that women want, and we're kind of making a wish list that just kind of makes this as good as it can be. So we are asking for people to be part of her journey, whoever that woman is that's coming through the door. So they can donate now by going to via.org.uk/the And I think the timescale is, so we're just going out to tender for expressions of interest for tender for the build. The build will start early next year. And I anticipate we're going to be early autumn, if we're being realistic, early to sort of mid-autumn next year. So these things do take time, but it is coming, and it's really important. And yeah, we would appreciate any support we could get just to make this something that's really special.
Brilliant. And it's such a good cause, because as we said the whole way through, women are in need, and it is a big need. And I think this is just a really exciting project that's going to help so many people. And I hope today that we're able to share that with everybody and make those donations happen. So in regards to, obviously we can donate via that website, is there any sort of events or anything like that that's coming up? You've got one in December. What was that?
So we're launching a crowdfunding page.
Okay. And that will be accessible
from the via.org.uk/the.
Perfect.
Yes, yeah. All really important stuff. So it's really good of you to have us on today, Natalie, to talk about this. And we're all doing, there's lots of good work going on across the country by different organisations, isn't there? So we're a part of something that's, it's just really important.
It's absolutely important. And there's a high raise in everything, isn't there? Alcohol, drug misuse, sexual abuse, all sorts. The list, unfortunately, is quite long. So having your team's expertise, being able to be there and help and support women, I think is absolutely brilliant. So thank you for sharing all the information today. Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us?
I don't think so. Just really grateful to be here today, and it's been really nice to meet you. Thank you.
Brilliant. So thank you to everybody who has listened. Please do donate for this brilliant cause, and we look forward to keeping an eye on the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.